Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today will be an interesting video because we are finally showing the results of the Ouija board test. So if you guys follow the IG, you guys know that a couple weeks ago I posted that I was going to be testing out the Ouija board and seeing if you can actually summon demons with it, if you can get results for an investigation kind of type thing, or if spirits can actually talk through it. I have conducted the research and my tests, and I'm about to show you guys what happened during all of that. This video has taken a bit longer to make than I would have liked. Many of you guys know that I just moved to Indianapolis, quickly realizing that this is a huge city. This is a little bit different than anything that I'm used to, so do apologize for not uploading videos like I should have been. I don't want to come to a full-fledged conclusion without doing the proper tests. And it's very hard because the paranormal only happens when it wants to happen, so you can't force it to happen. So I did bring the Ouija board in, I did do some tests, and then I'd wait a couple days to see if there was any increased activity at the house. I was looking for anything that wasn't usual to the house, so noises, knocks, any movement, any shadows. And that's kind of what I was looking for. But before we jump into the video, I just want to put a quick disclaimer on here, because so many of you guys, when I announced that I was doing the Ouija board test, so many of you came forward and said that you had experiences with the Ouija board. And a lot of you guys were concerned, and I definitely took your concerns into consideration. And that was something that I thought about during the duration of all the tests and stuff like that. And no matter what I say, I don't want you guys to ever feel like I am taking away your experience. I will never do that. I'm not going to discredit anybody. I'm not saying that you can't have an experience. I'm not saying that anybody that has an experience is invalid. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm just looking at this from an investigator perspective. I'm asking myself, how does this scientifically work? And then how can we consistently get results? We're gonna be doing a little test. I'm just at home, so that's why I'm not really wearing any makeup or anything. So I think we're all familiar with what a Ouija board is. It's got letters and numbers on it, and you can supposedly talk to spirits, and some people claim that you can talk to demons and stuff like that through the Ouija board. Now, I've done a little bit of research on my own, and I was reading that they do have a scientific explanation as to why the Ouija board works. So scientifically, the way that the Ouija board works is something called ideomotor effect. Now, this is when you are subconsciously, involuntarily moving or doing movements. Now, I know that sounds a little bit weird, like how could you not know that you're moving, but a prime example of this would be when you're in a dream state or you're just about to fall asleep and your body like jerks. That motion, it's called a hypnic jerk, and that is a prime example of ideomotor effect. So things like pendulums and dowsing rods are also labeled under that scientifically, about that's how they work. I was reading a interview that somebody did with somebody from a long time ago or something like that, from a patent person who worked on the Ouija board, and they asked them if they believed that they could speak to spirits, and they said no. I don't know how true that is though. The premise behind this is that subconsciously you're going to be answering yourself, and I want to see if, one, we can answer ourselves without realizing that we're answering ourselves, and then two, going even one step further by blindfolding ourselves and seeing if we get answers that way, or if it comes out as like gibberish. So do I personally believe in Ouija boards? I've never used one, so I can't say for certain whether I believe in them or not. So I am gonna do some other kind of stuff too. So I'm gonna run Evp Recorder and see if we catch anything there, and then from time to time I'm going to turn on the spirit box and see if we get anything there. So let's see if maybe just by having the Ouija board, spirits are attracted to it, or what happens when you open a Ouija board. You'll be able to see me, ask questions, and then you'll be able to see the board through the GoPro camera. I also have 2 side cameras, so you can see that I'm not trying to manipulate it under the table or anything like that. I'm gonna try to keep my hands above the table. All right, so first, let's open it up. So I'm gonna put my hands on it slightly. So you're supposed to have your fingers on it. You can see my fingers are shaking. And then I'm gonna do the little swirl thing. I said that I've never used it before, so let's go. All right. So is there any spirits here who wanna come talk? You can use this board. Of course, you can always talk through the Evp Recorder because I have that over there. So I personally don't think that this is going to work because subconsciously I know that I'm like, maybe, yeah. Now somebody did say that if you move it around and you take your finger or your fingers off of it, that's bad. I don't know. So if it does start to move, and I will take my fingers off of it and see if it continues to move. Now if it moves on its own, without me pushing it, then that is something that we can claim as possibly paranormal because if science has explained why it moves, and I can tell you that even subconsciously, just me, I can push it ever so slightly to where I want to go. Like I can push it this way and I can claim that I'm not pushing it. That's why I haven't said anything's moved it yet. Cameras are still going. I do know that my body is moving, like my shoulders are like dropping, and that's what's pushing it if you see my shoulder moves. I have used one before. Let's put, it's so much easier to move when you have 6 fingers on there. Now let's just, oh, it's easy. I was reading that the design of this is easy to manipulate. The pointer makes it easy to push. So let's try to, even then, yeah. So, let's see. Do you want to tell me your name? So subconsciously, I know that my mind is searching for a name that's common or things like that. Seeing maybe if it relates to anything. I haven't lived in this house very long, so I wouldn't be expecting a name, but maybe somebody who was living in a haunted house could speculate that for whatever reason it would say whatever name is relevant to their situation or whatever's going on. Let's try it some more. Subconsciously, I want to push it. I think I do want to push it. Okay, so I'm not going to close this. So I'm going to leave it open for the spirits to talk and move this. I am actually going to go out of the room and I am going to take my computer with me. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to make sure that we are doing this right before I say that that was a complete bust. Let me do a little bit more research and then we'll come back and maybe try something different. So I sat down and I tried this for about 15 minutes and I didn't get anything, and I really noticed that it was very, very easy for me to move the planchette. It was very, like, if my shoulder would just like drop down like an inch, the planchette would move forward like a half inch or like to an inch. And it was very, very easy to push without realizing I was pushing. Like even just like breathing, it slides back and forth. So the bottom of the planchette is felt, and that's really what helps pushes it forward. Now, I didn't get anything happening. I did record for an EVP, nothing happened there. And I did do Spirit Box and I didn't get any results here. Now I kind of wanted to leave this open just to see if anything would happen and if I'd get any activity that way. So I did leave it open for about 10 minutes and I walked away and I went into a completely other room. I didn't experience anything that day. Alright, so it is now day 2. Nothing to report. No activity, no nothing. So we're getting ready to use the board again. Let's see if anything happens this time. So for day 2, I decided to do something a little bit different. I was kind of reading that you kind of have to invite them to come in and you kind of have to make it a like warm and inviting place. So I was like, let's go with that. So I did some candles this time for this day. And I tried to use the Ouija board for about 15 minutes. I did not get any movement at all and I didn't capture anything. Now the reason why the camera looks a little purple is because these are full spectrum cameras. So this camera is supposed to catch stuff that the naked eye doesn't catch. So that's why it's purple. I also left the Ouija board open in this room for probably about 30 minutes. And I went in a different room and I went to the living room and nothing happened. I'm starting to feel a little bit discouraged because I can't get it to work. So I actually asked a lot of you guys on my Instagram account and a lot of you guys gave me different ideas. Some of you said to do it at 3 o'clock in the morning or at midnight. So I did try various times. I really tried to be different. A lot of you guys said that I need to light candles and do incense. So I really tried that for day 3. But despite doing that and still trying to make a warm and welcoming environment, I still didn't get any results on day 3. And I busted out my spirit box and my Evp recorder and I did not get anything for day 3. So for day 4, I decided to do something a little bit different. A lot of you guys were saying that the Ouija board works better when you have more people. So I decided to ask my boyfriend to come in and help, and he so graciously came in and helped with the Ouija board. But so not only did I add an extra person this time, but I was also burning a different type of incense. A lot of you guys said that you kind of have to use spirit or something welcoming, and then we also decided to use candles, and we decided to call quarters. Now, if you don't know what that is, some people practice that when they're doing like rituals and different things like that. It's all going to depend on your religion, on how you do it. Basically, it's used in rituals. It's calling elemental energies and they're tied to the directions. So you basically call them in and you can use them and they're beneficial for you during your practice, basically. Also, don't quote me on that as I'm not really a religious person to begin with. That was actually somebody else's idea, so that was not my idea. So despite doing all of those things, I still was not getting any results, and by this point, I became quite irritated, actually. I really thought that it was going to be so easy and I could just manipulate it and just make it work. And I actually decided to stop filming for this. And I know in my heart that if I would have continued filming, I would not have gotten any results. Now, I don't know if it's because I thought, hey, it's in your subconscious, so it's not going to work. Now, I've had several conversations before where people say the Ouija board only works if you want it to work. But for me, when I'm looking at it from a scientific perspective, I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean it only works whenever you work? Because you don't pick up an Evp recorder and it only works whenever you want it to work. It just works. You know, you can rely on it. It's something that you can use time and time again. So that discouraged me as well. And that's not something, that's not something that I like to hear. So I don't know if because I kind of had a mindset going in that it wasn't really going to work too well, or that if it did work, I was going to test it if that's why it didn't work, or if maybe the spirits just didn't want to communicate with me because they didn't want me testing them. That could be another theory if you're looking at it from the other perspective. So I really had to kind of figure out what I was going to do and I was going to tweak it. So thankfully, actually, the last paranormal investigation I went on was at Whispers Estates, and Whispers Estate actually encourages people to use Ouija boards while they're investigating. So the tour guide and I actually sat down and we did a Ouija board session together, which was great. Because another part that I was thinking about was, well, maybe if my house isn't haunted, and maybe that's not why it's working, because I really don't think that my house is haunted. So, and then I kind of had to think, well, the premise is that you can just pick up this board and you can just use it anywhere, and they can come, and you're opening up a portal, and they can come to you, and that's this light in this darkness, and they're attracted to you. So that's what I was testing, more or less. So if I had to go to a haunted place to get it to work, then is it really working? So that was kind of, I was a little bit back and forth on whether or not I should be doing that, because the test itself is to see, if spirits can communicate through it, and you should be able to just take it home, unwrap it out the box, and all of a sudden, you have spirits coming to you. So that was the test. How do you do it? So
I get it going, I warm it up first, and then I just go into it.
Okay.
All right.
Do you want to ask the questions?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Is there anybody here? Does anybody want to talk to us through the board? Do you want to tell us your name? I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it could be you.
GH.
Does that spell anything?
Okay.
Yes. Did you used to live here? Are you a child? Do you want to tell us your name? And we know it's not Ugg. Missed.
Let's see. I don't know spell anything.
It doesn't spell anything.
Are you confused?
No. Why?
G.
H.
P.
It doesn't spell anything either.
Can you not spell because you're a kid? You're just trying to be funny? Whisper?
I don't understand.
No.
See? Okay.
Donkey Kong.
H.
You just don't know how to spell, do you? How old are you?
You're not gonna tell us?
Mm-hmm.
W. No.
So we probably sat for maybe about 30 minutes just working with the Ouija board, and pretty much the same things kept happening. It would either say yes or no, and then whenever it would go to spell anything, it really wouldn't spell out much of anything. Or it wouldn't land on any letters, or we weren't really getting anything too crazy. But I did decide, since we were there, that we were going to actually blindfold ourselves and then turn the board so that way we wouldn't know what it was, and then see if we can get answers that way.
All right, do you want to come talk to us now? Does anyone want to come talk to us? Do you want to spell out your name? Do you want to spell out my name? Do you have any friends with you? Oh, my camera restarted. Either that or it shut off. Which is fine. I think it probably just restarted.
Did you say your battery was about dead?
Yeah, but I think normally when it dies, it doesn't make that noise. I think it just dies, and it goes ding, 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 or something like that. All right, can I turn the board again? Okay, I'm gonna turn it.
So halfway through this session, I did realize that it might be hard for me to recognize what the letters were since the camera was on an angle. So I did spin the board again and I put the camera on a different angle, but I didn't get my angle correct because I was blindfolded, so I really couldn't see. But basically, after I had turned the board, we still continued to get kind of the same thing where it wasn't really landing on anything and it wasn't really making any sense. I would also like to point out that I did run the EVP recorder the entire time we were using the Ouija board, and I did not receive any EVPs. But basically, the whole experience kind of just makes me question the whole Ouija board aspect in general, quite even more so than when I started. When I started, you know, I initially thought it was going to be super easy and that, you know, we were going to probably get something, and we really didn't get much of anything. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, Ouija boards can't yield any results. I'm just saying for me, they didn't work. I'm not really sure why it didn't work, but it just didn't seem to have that aggressive, like, oh, you're gonna get snatched up by demons kind of feel. It didn't give me any of that. You know, I wasn't scared while I was using it. And I know that a lot of you guys said that you have had experiences with it, and it makes me wonder if maybe it's something that's boiled down to your environment or your subconscious. You know, when we were using it and we were blindfolded, you know, we didn't really get a whole lot of answers. And, you know, even prior to being blindfolded, we didn't get a lot of answers. And I will say that I did tell the tour guide what we were doing and what tests we were going to be conducting. Now, I'm not saying that she did it intentionally or anything like that. I'm just curious on if, because I had told her, that was subconsciously like in her mind and she wasn't really paying attention, and maybe like that helped influence stuff, especially if you believe in the whole subconscious side of the board. Now, as far as the paranormal aspect of the board, I do not believe that you can use the Ouija board and as an effective tool and go to a paranormal location and get credible evidence. Now, I will say I do not believe that you can do that, because it's not something that you can pick up every time, and it's not something that works every single time that you're using it. But I will say that, you know, some of the things that did happen were a little bit coincidental. Like, it said TC at one point, which is a little weird for me because I was born and raised in Traverse City, Michigan. That's where I'm from. So that, I mean, it could be a coincidence. I'm guessing that it is a coincidence because that's pretty much the only thing that made sense to me out of the whole board. But I mean, that's just relative to me. It could be different for other people. So again, not saying that it can't be done, but I'm just saying that I don't think that, you know, people can just take it home and it automatically works. And I'm very curious, but I would love to come up with a valid conclusion, but it's hard to do when I've only run like a couple tests. I definitely think the next time I test this, we're gonna have to get like one of those stands that have the camera facing down, because it was really hard to see whether the board was on something or not. If you definitely think that it was something other than what I had put, let me know. And then maybe, you know, we can go over it again and we can change it. But I definitely want to be testing it in the future. Let me know if you have any suggestions on how to do that. Let me know if you guys have had an experience with the Ouija board. I definitely want to be running tests in the future. If you have any ideas on how I can test it, how we can come to a closer conclusion, I'm all ears, and I would love to hear your thoughts or your theories or any suggestions at all. So go ahead and comment down below. But